What's up, guys? It's your boy Justin. So, I I'm reviewing a book, Peter V. Brett's The Warden Man, Book One of the Demon Cycle. I paid $28 for it. I think it was first published it's first published in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, and it was published by Del Rey and Random House Books, which huge fan of Del Rey Fantasy, by the way. They published a lot of great fantasy novels, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm also playing a video game while I'm reviewing this game because I'm short on time. So yeah, I initially got the book one because normally once in a while I go see movies and I'll check out the chapters, right? And I went and I was looking at that cover and man, this book has a kind of cool cover, has a cool name, and the old edgy Catholic high school teenager of me, something about if it has demons in it, dude. That was my edge keynote back in the day. I would play games, watch anime that had demons in it, and that was my edge keynote, man. That was shit where oh man, I felt edgy for reading that shit, dude. Oh my god, even though it's fucking, that's some dumb shit, but whatever, right? So so I fucking watch reviews for the book because it's it's a long book, man. It's almost 600 pages, though. The main book is just 500 and I think it was 30 something or 20 something like that. And then there's a short story with the one main character, Arlen, and then there's a preview to the second book, which is there's 5 books in this series. And what made me really want to read the book is wow, it gave me a lot of 20 years later vibes, especially in the first 100 pages. It's just the fucking first movie in the trilogy, right? The new trilogy, not because there was 2 previous fucking films. And only to keep reading the book and dude, this book is, it's not so much that it's hey, this is a dark fantasy 28 years later. This is dark fantasy fucking Attack on Titan, dude. Because the premise of the book, which, by the way, I love the premise is that it's straight up a fucking it's straight up post-apocalyptic fantasy world where they had advanced technology, but then demons rose up from the ground, from the core, which they call hell, the core, I guess, from the core of the earth. And demons rise up every night and kill every humans and every I'm wearing a Jerusalem hat. Fuck, my mom gave me this from when she went on vacation, so I'm I need a hat because my hair looks like shit. And yeah, so demons rise up from the ground every night and fuck shit up, killing humans, which there are different kinds of demons, right? They're mostly elemental. There's fire, wind. Winds are just flyers. Rock, wood. There's even clay demons, but I don't even know if that's canon because that's from the fucking short story, which I didn't even finish it because I'm reading this. I'm this contradicts certain shit from the main book. I think this is this was written before, he before the first book was finished or whatever the fuck, because there was shit in there that contradicts shit. But yeah, so the book takes place in post-apocalyptic fantasy world where humanity is basically on the verge of being extinct, where the demons are practically unkillable. The only things that can kill them are the sun, or if you manage to injure them enough, they'll turn on each other. But it's kind of hard to injure them because the only things that really can injure them are certain weapons that no longer exist and magic circles called wards. Think of the alchemy symbols from Full Metal Alchemist. It's shit like that, but they're barriers, right? And every night people have to paint, have to maintain, paint, wards over their houses, over the walls in the cities, over their like farm posts, like barns posts, every fucking thing to keep the demons from destroying, killing everybody. And it's very, especially rough for the townships that are super far away from the cities, because you have like less support from the dukes and the neighboring kingdoms, right? Which there are politics in the world. You would think, hey, we have common enemies. Maybe we wouldn't be infighting, but no, there's fighting between the different dukes and stuff. Where there's not really one king. There's like different dukes who run like, cities and whatever. Right. So you follow three main characters from first when they're kids to when they're like grown adults in their like 20s, right? Except for one of the characters, like, he was like 3 or 4 years old. He was basically a toddler, and like by the end of the book he's like 17, 16, 17. He constantly lies about his age. So like you have three main characters. One is Arlen, who's like I would say he's like the hero / main character of the book. And he grows up in a small farm in a small village where everybody knows how to paint wards, which is not the case in the main cities, because this is where it's like, is there some like anti-capitalist shit here going on? Right? Because there's like shit in the book where it's like, it's hard to tell. The book is like, if you were someone who's really into politics, it's kind of hard to tell what's the political leanings here, because like at some points it's like, this is more right wing, this is more left, whatever, right? I try not to think about that shit when I read the book, but it's kind of hard not to when we live in politically charged fucking times, dude. But yeah, so like, everybody knows how to ward, which is not the case in the cities where you have to be apprentice, you have to go through guilds and all that fucking shit. Which the main character criticized later on in the book. Right? So, what ends up happening, obviously, he's a kid, there's a tragedy, and he ends up running from home to become a messenger, which messengers are the closest fucking things to, except for a certain country in the east called Krasia, which the Krasians are basically, the Krasians are basically fucking Arabs, like Muslims, dude. Like they're basically the Fremen and the fucking, I forget what they're fucking called in like the Wheel of Time series, but they're like basically like they're basically like fighting desert people, right? Who have a holy war against the demons of the night, and they're the only ones actively fighting the demons, even though because of that there's like less than like 4,000 of them or some fucking shit, dude. It's because they're constantly getting killed by the demons in their holy war, which, in their religion's like, oh, if we die fighting demons, we go to heaven, right? Which the Krasian chapter, the part of the book where it takes place in Krasia is actually pretty good, but it's like, but only for like shit to go down, with the main character and the Krasians. So he runs away to become a messenger, which messengers are the only people that travel at night to go to different villages, and they're also the only ones who kind of fight the demons, even though obviously, because they don't have the fighting wards, the special wards that allow people to kill the demons, they don't get, their main job is basically to collect news and deliver supplies and deliver messages, shit like that, right? But they're also spies for the dukes, which I thought was kind of cool. So the main character grows up to be a messenger. You have the other two characters, Leisha, who is this, who's kind of, she's not rich, but she kind of has like, she's like kind of like the rich girl of the group, even though she also grew up in a small village where she grows up to be a herb galliver, which is basically like the doctors of this world, and also they also guard the ancient knowledge. So like they know how to make like fucking like Molotov cocktails that can actually burn and kill certain kinds of demons, which certain demons are weak to certain like certain attributes or like shit like that. Like wood demons are weak against like not fire in general, but demon fire. But somehow like the herb gatherers know how to make like a fucking kind of fire that works on fucking demons. And like the third main character. What the fuck was his name again? Oh my god. Roger Halfgrip, who was like each of the characters all kind of when they're kids they have like kind of a tragedy happen. With him, it's like the most tragic because the books will take place. You'll hear about shit that happened in other people's stories. So like there's a story where where a village got basically destroyed, and you're like, huh, what happened there? And like only for like there's a chapter where they introduce the third main character who's a young heir, however you pronounce it, I don't know, which is basically it's like a traveling bard slash clown, right? Who always travels with like messengers to the different towns, right? But they also work mostly the free cities, which is where the dukes reside in. And his story was kind of like the most tragic because he was like only 3 or 4 when he lost his family, right? Which a lot of the characters in these books loses their families, right? But like he was like a toddler who was the innkeeper's kid when where this is kind of a spoiler, but I thought it was like kind of interesting. Where it's like his backstory is basically a bard goes to visit a bard and a messenger visits his village, and they stay at his inn, at his family's inn, which he's only a toddler, and he's like the bard and the messenger are working for a duke who wants to ward a bridge, right? And because of that, all the warders in this village, and because the village is so close to the free cities, nobody knows how to ward except for the warders, right? Because you have to be specially licensed, right? But because of this massive project where they have all the warders working on this bridge, what happens is that they don't maintain the wards in the village, and what ends up happening is the demons test the wards every night looking for weaknesses. What ends up happening is they fucking burn down and kill almost everybody, and the main character loses that main character, Roger, when he's like 3 or 4, loses half his fingers on one hand. That's why he's called Half Grip, and gets raised by the bard who was working for the duke, right? And that's kind of that was like the most tragic backstory of all the characters, though. Like the one main character, which is it's just funny. His name's Arlen Hunter. Aaron Yeager, right? From Attack on Titan, and you have like Erlen Bale, who becomes a messenger, who becomes like a demon slayer by the end of the book, and it's like they have kind of both Arlen and fucking Aaron Yeager both have like similar backstories where it's like did the author Attack on Titan read fucking this book series? Because there's so many fucking similarities, dude. Like, holy fuck, dude. It is insane, the similarities. And the point I even hear later on in this series they do the thing where like, oh, the demons may not be as bad as people think they are. And then there's also apparently there's like a political one of the later books, there's like a war between 2 nations, which is like the only thing that makes me kind of want to keep reading the books. because at the end of the book, like, they find ways to kill demons because the book is called The Warded Man, because like our main character, spoiler alert, finds the fighting wards and becomes this like mythical demon slayer character where he paints himself in like defensive wards, but he has fighting wards on over his weapons, on his hands, his elbows. He puts them. He gets a war horse. He makes special armor and weapons for his war horse. So it's like, holy fuck, the character, the way he's described, it looks like he's fucking. You would think it's from fucking Diablo or fucking Warhammer Fantasy, which is why I bought like fucking Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon. Oh my god. Recently. Fuck. Which, this game's not bad, but it just plays like Skyrim, dude. But, man. Which, they added a third-person mode. Like, holy fuck. Because I hate first-person mode in RPGs, dude. So, yeah, I'll get into my thoughts on the book. I liked the book. I thought there was... I even didn't mind... Something weird's happening. What the fuck is this shit? Because it's basically King Arthur... But what if, like, we put, like, Lovecraftian bullshit in King Arthur? It's like, what the fuck? Oh, shit, it's like fucking... Oh, my god. Yeah, I'll pause the game. But, yeah, I don't know, like, the book... There are some problems with the book. Like, how come... And they said, like, people... He's not the first to put defensive wards on weapons, but obviously... But, like, it's one of those things where it's like, there are certain wards in the world that were discovered before Aaron found the fighting wards, and like we know from the certain parts of the book, you can kind of use wards in certain ways where you can injure the demons, because one of the demons, like the one on the cover, is this one-armed rock demon or stone demon who Arlen injured when he was a little kid, because like it was he was mudging his ward, because the wards, if they get like fucked up, they'll stop working. So he was fixing it as the demon was coming into his ward, so it activated as his arm was through the barrier, so he cut off the one dude's arm. So, and that demon was hounding him throughout the whole fucking book for years, by the way, till he finally kills it. And you find out the Crasians have a ward that allow demons to go into certain pits that they trap them in, so they can kill them with sunlight. But it also allows them to fall in but not come out. So it's like, why don't they put those fucking wards, those one-way in wards, on their weapons? That way they can stab the fucking, but reverse them. Oh wait. Would that work? Because they would need, that's the problem, they would need a weapon that's hard enough to pierce the armor. So, like, when they pull the spears out or whatever, it takes out chunk of them because of the wards. But then they would need to pierce them first. So it was like, okay, that makes sense. Alright, yeah. But even then, if they warded their weapons, they could just, it would make it easier for them to push them into pits or whatever the fuck. So I don't know, man. But yeah, I just thought that was like kind of an inconsistency. But then now I think about it, now I say it out loud, I was like, oh yeah, no, that kind of makes sense. But there are shit that was like, where it's like, why don't they share certain information? Like, though we know why, by the end of the book, like, Arlen doesn't, at first, was hesitant to make, like, warded weapons, flying warding weapons, because he tried, he tried to share that information with the Crasians, and the Crasians tried to kill him, and they stole, like, the one spear he had. But because he copied the wards, he was able to make more weapons with those wards, and he was able to survive being killed in mid trade. So yeah, I enjoyed the book. I want to read more books from this fucking series. And yeah, that's it for this review, guys. My next book review will probably be I'm gonna finish the Book of New Sun series, and that will be like that should come out sometime in February. So that's it, guys. Peace out.